welcome you to this nutrition talk. I've been trying for a little while to get this thing actually up and running. tried to bring it off my phone and it just didn't work. So hopefully this goes as swimmingly as I think it's going to the YouTube live. But this is basically your introduction to nutrition. It's in and of itself. How to establish a base diet, what fats, carbs, proteins are, and how they can affect your body in a positive way. And negative way for that from that point of view. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to see if I can get this thing to where I can actually show you. That's not working. Oh man. Well, I do this the old-fashioned way. I'm just going to go off a computer because I am what is known as technologically illiterate when it comes to these things, especially on the phone. So I'll bring this up on my desktop, and you all can kind of see this as we go through. So here we go. All right, so nutrition, the Monstrousitous Strength Performance way. Monstrousitous Strength Performance is the channel that you're following. This is how you're finding me. But yeah, that's our business. We train lots of dads. We train lots of competitors in the jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, MMA space, and we do a pretty damn good job of it. Currently, we are have a 98% success rate over the last 2 years with our competitors, and that's pretty damn good. Took away a couple of world championships, and with one of our guys, and some pretty high level jiu-jitsu guys as well that are just kicking ass. And we got a couple local belt holders as well in terms of Muay Thai. So we kind of run the gamut. So about me. If you don't know anything about me, this is your introduction to me. I'm a 20-year veteran of strength and conditioning. Began, not I should have had this on here, but I began as a strength conditioning coach for boxing at one of the Olympic training centers in 2003. We had a Olympian. His name was Roberto Benitez. He qualified out of the United States, failed out of the Americas, and did not make it to the Olympic Games. But he was one of those guys. Spencer Mango is another guy that came out of that group from the Greco-Roman wrestling side. That guy's an absolute freak. Saw him do some pretty incredible things in the weight room. And aside from that, we just had several alternates on that 2014 that came out of the Greco space. Then I went on to the Citadel, was the men's basketball strength coach, did freestyle wrestling, golf, track, and field. And then I really cut my teeth at Yale from 2005 to 2007. Trained 13 teams, including men's and women's hockey. Men's hockey, we won an Ivy championship my second year there after being pretty much not as competitive as we could have been when we started. Volleyball, baseball, crew, track and field. Won a national championship with both men's heavy and women's crew my second year there. And then I moved on to become a director at a couple colleges. Canisius College, first of all, directly oversaw all programs, but was directly responsible for men's and women's basketball, hockey, baseball, men's lacrosse, softball. Won several conference championships that year. Then on to Southeast Missouri State, where I was the director there for 3 years, and we were part of one of the greatest stories of turnarounds in football. FCS, we went from 2-9 to 9-2. Won our conference, went to the playoffs for the very first time. Just a really cool thing. And I've been an online guy since 2011, really. When I left there, I continued training some of the powerlifters I was working with, and that's never really stopped. And I'm currently a high school strength coach at the high school that I teach at. So, yeah, that's about me. That's in a nutshell. So, in terms of nutrition, we're told that there's this food guide pyramid that the USDA puts out. You see at the bottom, they tell you 6 to 11 servings of bread, cereal, pastas, 3 to 5 of vegetables, 2 to 4 of fruit, and then 2 to 3 servings of meat, yogurt, dairy, and then use your fats and oils sparingly. Parts that I agree with on this are keep the fats and oils sparingly, because you don't really need a lot of it. Big problem with American diet is we eat way too much of this and way too much of this, and we don't focus in on the middle part of the pyramid. So the more that you can focus on eating in the middle part of that pyramid, middle part of the pyramid, the healthier that you're going to be. And for some people, you're lactose intolerant. Okay, well, that eliminates part of that pyramid, but you should still be making most of your diet out of lean meats, vegetables, and fruits, and then carbohydrates, but use them strategically to help you build muscle. Because a lot of people think that an excess of protein is going to make you really build a lot of muscle, and I don't really think that's the case. It helps in building and repair, which we'll talk about later, but without the carbohydrates to really bump things up in terms of calories and refilling glycogen stores, um, you, you're really kind of limiting what you can do in terms of muscle growth. All right, so performance-based nutrition, as I talked about, we just basically flip everything. Our proteins, vegetables, and our fruits become more of a priority, along with strategically placed carbohydrates. Make sure you drink your body weight in ounces per day of fluids. And again, prioritize carbohydrates the right time of the day. For some people, that's right when they wake up. It helps to refill glycogen stores again so they can go on and have a hard workout later that day. But for a lot of people, you need that post-workout meal, which we'll talk about later, where it's predominantly lean protein and it's high carbohydrate. And that's what's really going to push the needle forward in terms of progress. All right, so the pieces of the puzzle, we have protein, we have carbs, we have fats, we have vitamins, we have minerals. We'll talk a little bit about each one, and we'll kind of go from there. But protein, what is it? It's a macronutrient that's essential for the body's proper functioning. It's made up of amino acids linked by a peptide bond. You can look that up on Google. That's what it's going to tell you. There are 20 amino acids. Their sequence determines a protein structure and its function. Proteins transport molecules, build and repair tissue, as we talked about, and support the immune system. Leucine, which is an essential amino acid we'll talk about later, is found in animal meats. It activates mTOR, which is responsible for muscle protein synthesis and thus muscle growth. Leucine might not be as hyped as it used to be, but it's essential. People with a higher leucine in their diet, from my observation, tend to be a little bit more muscular, which is why I am an advocate of essential amino acids intra-workout as part of a drink that you take in. So again, essential amino acids like leucine cannot be made by the body and therefore must be ingested by food or by supplement, which is where EAAs come in. The goal of a male athlete is to eat 2 to 3 palms of protein for 4 to 5 meals per day, or simply eat your goal body weight in grams per day. Think about the palm size of your hand. That's this piece in here, the size of your palm. For a lot of people, that ranges anywhere from 15 to 25 grams of protein. Now, if you eat 2 to 3 of those per meal, we're talking about anywhere from 30 to 45 grams of protein per meal, and you stack that up over multiple meals per day, and we're suddenly all in that 165 to 230 pound to 230 range. But again, if you want to simplify this, just eat your goal body weight in grams per day. So if you're 205 pounds and you want to weigh 210, you should probably eat 210 grams of protein for that meal. Dietary fats is the next one. It's necessary for energy, cell function, and overall health. There are 9 calories per gram, whereas with protein, you see 4 calories per gram. And they help you to absorb fat-soluble vitamins, which is important, and also helps support hormone production and brain function. Famous powerlifting coach Louis Simmons once kind of joked that he eats a high cholesterol diet because cholesterol converts into testosterone. So that was his rationale for eating higher fats. There are types of fats: unsaturated, saturated, and trans fats. Trans fats we already know are pretty bad for you, mostly lab created. Saturated fats come from meats, and unsaturated fats come from like nuts, seeds, nut butters, and so on. So saturated fats again, animal products, butter, cheese, fatty cuts of meat, tropical oils like coconut oil. Effectively can raise LDL, which we consider to be bad cholesterol. So moderation is key. And I haven't done a deep enough dive to really be able to tell you if having high LDL, super high LDL, is really bad for you. I don't know. I don't know the answer because you can find 10 people that will tell you higher than normal LDL will kill you tomorrow, and you'll find 10 other people that will tell you will make you live till you're 100. So really, the answer is we don't know, other than you need to go off how you feel, um, and you need to follow and get your blood work a couple times a year, just to see what happens when you start to throw nutritional levers and see what happens with you. Unsaturated fats are monounsaturated, like olive oil, avocados, nuts. They improve heart function. They lower LDL, raise HDL. And polyunsaturated are found in fatty fish, like salmon, flaxseed oil, flax seeds themselves, walnuts, chia seeds, pumpkin seeds, and so on. And again, trans fats we want to try to stay away from. Fat's important in your diet because A, provides you long-lasting energy. B, hormone support. So you need to be able to produce testosterone if you're a male. You need to have a little bit of estrogen if you're a male in terms of greasing up your joints, making you feel a little bit better, being better for your heart. Women need estrogen. Women also need testosterone. A lot of women think they don't make testosterone. They're lying to themselves. Brain health helps build and maintain brain cells. So cell structure, making up the cell membranes themselves. And they also just taste good and they make you feel better. For some people that go hypoglycemic within a workout, a good strategy for you to do before that workout is to include some protein, include a little bit of fat, and some carbohydrates so it sticks with you um, through that workout, and make sure that your blood sugar doesn't dive on you. So John Meadows used to have a thing where he would use cream of rice, a little bit of protein powder, like a chocolate protein powder, and mix in some nut butter with it, and it was really tasty. But also the added fat into that helped to stabilize blood sugar throughout the extent of the workout. How much fat do you really need? I'll talk about this later, and it might be contradictory to what I'm telling you right now, but about 20 to 35% of total calories will come from fat. Have a balance between unsaturated fats and your poly and your unsaturated and your saturated, excuse me. But again, personalize this based on your activity level. I'm also someone that says I don't think you need more than 35% of your total calories from fat, but later on you're gonna find out that maybe that's not the case off a base diet, because it gives you something to kind of cut from uh, as you move through. Ultimately, say you're going to go on a bodybuilding stage, I think your last 3 to 4 weeks is zero fats anyway, because your hormones are already taking a hit, um, unless you're supported. Um, so at that point, get the last bit of fat off, strip the fats out, and watch the magic happen. So again, if I was going to set up a base diet for you, this is my recommendation. Take your goal weight that you want to weigh times 0.4 to get total fats. So basically 40% of your calories. 250-pound male wants to cut to 205. They would take 205 times 0.4, 82 grams of total fat per day. But it could go down as low as 41 grams per fat per day if you were to follow that 20% or the 0.2. Carbohydrates. Macronutrients provides energy for the body, especially for physical activity and brain function. Key function is the major source of energy, 4 calories per gram in the nervous system, and they help spare protein for muscle repair and growth, which is why I don't think that you need to have double your body weight in protein, because carbohydrates in and of themselves, by having them in your diet, they are muscle sparing, they are protein sparing, which means that you don't require as much protein as some of the old gym bros once thought you may. Types of carbohydrate, are simple, which include like your sugars, and your complex, which are your starches and fibers. And I'll go into that in a second. Simple carbohydrates are found in fruits, dairy, candy, soda, which are obviously processed. They quickly digest for an immediate energy source. So these are great for pre-workout. Um, Not going to hurt you at all to have a handful of really high sugar candy right before a workout, especially if you're coming in on an empty stomach. Just have a little bit of protein with it, or maybe a scoop of essential amino acids, and that'll go a long way. Your complex carbohydrates are your starches, like your whole grains, potatoes, beans, vegetables, and they provide more of a steady flow of energy. So as you go throughout your day, this might be something you want to keep more in your diet, especially if you're on a fat loss diet, because it will stick with you longer. The body's digestion will slow it down as opposed to those simple carbohydrates. And lastly, you'll find fiber, which again is found in whole grains, fruits, and vegetables, and they stabilize blood sugar and they will make you feel fuller longer, which is good news if you're in a fat loss type of diet. So, why carbohydrates are important? They're the body's preferred fuel for high intensity activity. Secondly, and probably the most important, is brain function. The brain really relies on glucose to operate. So try going keto, and you get into something called the keto flu, where you feel like garbage and you can't think for a couple of days because your body hasn't produced enough ketones to get you up and really rolling. Um, so that's why people have the brain fog and the keto flu, is because they're missing that glucose to the brain, which makes them feel better. It makes them able to think more clearly. Also, glycogen storage, which is your long term. Like your short term is blood sugar. Your long term is the glycogen that comes from the muscle and is able to be stored in the muscle. So in times where you need to break it down, your body will go into those glycogen stores and pull that energy out that you're going to need. Um, and I'm not going to go into the nutrient density part. I think if you eat more complex versus simple carbohydrates, that's where the nutrient density comes in. I think foods that will make you feel fuller longer are important. How many do you need per day? RDA is 45 to 60% of total calories. So from a 2,500 calorie diet, it could be anywhere from 281 to 406 grams per day. And you'll see later on, I've got some recommendations that are a little bit different than this. Your activity level obviously matters. The more active you are, the more carbs you will need. The less active you are, the less carbs you need. And that will go into our carb cycling talk later on. For overall balance, you want to pair carbs with protein and fat for better blood sugar control, which is I talked about a little bit earlier, is keeping that constant supply of energy rather than having big crashes here and there. Having mixed meals, which is what this is called, provides you a level of satiety for a longer period of time, but also you're going to feel better for as long as you possibly can before needing your next meal. Limit processed or sugary foods, unless you're in that pre or post workout meal timeline, where refilling glycogen stores and topping off glycogen stores are the most important things. Other than that, eat fruits and vegetables. Eat a variety of fruits and vegetables and what their colors look like. Choose a variety of whole grains. Eat those. Don't necessarily pigeonhole yourself to one thing. Try to be as colorful as you can with what's on your plate, and you'll probably feel better, and you'll get the vitamins and minerals in that your body ultimately needs. Which brings us to vitamins and minerals. The essential micronutrients, that the body needs in small amounts to function properly. They support energy production, immunity, and overall health, vital for growth, development, and repair of body tissues, and they help regulate chemical reactions in the body. Categories: vitamins are organic compounds like vitamin C, vitamin D. Your minerals are inorganic elements like calcium, or iron, selenium, zinc, and so on. And these work synergistically together to improve immune function, which as you get older, you become more and more concentrated on. There are types of vitamins, fat soluble, which store in the body fat. That's vitamin A, D, E, and K. You find those in green leafy vegetables, dairy, nuts, and fish. And you have water soluble vitamins, which need to be consumed every day. And that's where your vitamin C, your B's come in, folate. They're found in fruits and vegetables, a little bit in whole grains and meat as well. Vitamin C is for immune health, collagen production, which as you get older, you're going to realize that you need collagen in order to, to feel as good as you can and to look as young as you used to. And B vitamins are your energy metabolism and responsible for red cell blood production. For minerals, you need a large amount of macro minerals like calcium, potassium, sodium, magnesium, phosphorus. Calcium is for bone health and muscle function. Potassium is for fluid balance, nerve signaling, and sodium, again, fluid balance, muscle contraction. Try stripping out salt from your diet for a day and try to train as hard as you do now, and you're going to find out that sodium is really important. Same with potassium. If you strip out sodium but keep potassium in really high, you're going to look badass for a little while. Your veins will pop out everywhere. You'll go crazy, but that's not something that's sustainable for a long period of time, and nor should you do that for a long period of time. That's an old natural bodybuilding, peaking kind of thing. So you should not be loading up on potassium on a daily basis, because that's not good for heart function. Then you have your trace minerals. They're needed in smaller amounts. Again, go back to this one: iron, zinc, copper, iodine, selenium. Selenium is one of those interesting ones. There's a book called Epigenetics by Dr. Joel Wallach, which I think everyone should buy or at least read one time. He was a veterinarian. He went through all these the vitamins and minerals and figured out what people really need versus what's recommended for them. And he was the guy that found out that if you take in about 250 micrograms of selenium per day, your risk of dying from cancer goes down exponentially. So yeah, that's one of the more important ones is selenium. Again, they all work. Zinc, obviously for immune function, but you need a way to get the zinc into the cell. That's why there are zinc ionizing. I can't think of the word itself, but your hydroxychloroquines and your ivermectins are like a bullet that allows zinc to get in the cell. I can't think of the actual word for it right now. So if you want to put down in comments the actual word I'm looking for, not call me a zealot over this, because you can look it up yourself. You feel free to do so. But iron's important for carrying oxygen in the blood. Zinc, like I said, immune function, wound healing, and iodine is essential for thyroid function and also for brain health. I mean, it's iodine also helps to remove chlorine from the body, not chlorine, but fluoride from the body. So iodine is actually really, really important, especially for growing kids. But just don't overdo it on the iodine side. All right, so again, immune support, energy production, bone health, blood cell density helps, and quality of the red blood cells, prevents anemia, prevents fatigue, antioxidant protection, vitamin C and vitamin E protect cells from damage, or cell radicals is what those are called. So a tip for how you build a meal: fill half your plate with fruits and vegetables, use 4 to 5 foods if needed, snack on nutrient-dense items like nuts, seeds, yogurt, and rotate food choices to make sure that you're not getting yourself into a place where you are become allergic to something because you ate it so much. Happens to people a lot with whole eggs, but that's not the only one. So just be careful and be cognizant and rotate your foods as much as you can. All right, so inside of the Monstrousitous Strength page on Facebook, which is a $15 a month learning hub, and as well as training program that you get week to week, you'll find my hand measurement guide for nutrition. And it's based off of the information from Precision Nutrition, except I've kind of tweaked it a little bit to kind of fit based off of some things I've seen with clients. So I essentially think that you have two options for setting up a diet. If you're someone that likes to count calories and you're someone that likes to do macros, you can first of all estimate calories based off of body weight, your goal body weight. So again, go back to my example earlier. A 250-pound male who wants to weigh 205 pounds will consume 205 grams of protein, 205 grams of carbohydrates, and then zero point 0.4 of that goal body weight, which is 82 grams of fat. That's a good place to start for a base diet. It's a really good place to start for a base diet. So, and from base diet, what I mean is this is where we begin to see how your body responds, and then we adjust accordingly. Next, you're going to the other way to do this is to estimate your calories by your goal. If you're highly active and want to gain weight, you're going to take 15 to 20 calories per pound of your goal body weight. So again, if you know you're at your leanest, you're going to be at your leanest at 205, multiply based off these numbers off of 205. And then you can always adjust upward. But start conservatively so you understand what's going to happen when you start to throw in these extra calories. And next thing you know, the scale went up 5 to 10 pounds because you're holding more body fluid. Body fluid does not equal body fat, and scale weight increase is not always muscle increase. So I would base you off of your initial goal body weight where you think you'll be your absolute leanest and go from there. If you're moderately active or maintenance calories, you're going to be somewhere in that 12 to 15 calories per gram. And if you're less active or if you're in an aggressive fat loss stage, 10 calories per pound of goal body weight. And, for a person that wants to weigh 205 pounds, that's 2,050 calories. And if you've eaten a 2,050 calorie diet before, you know that can be rough. But that's where you're going to start from. And then you can always go down. So our ranges kind of work like this. 205 grams of protein. Protein and fat are the ones that are going to stay static based off of that goal body weight. Your carbs is what fluctuates based off your activity level for the day. So you could be anywhere from 125 to 740 grams of carbs based off of activity. Based using these numbers here, that's 125 is 10 calories. 740 is upward of 20 calories. So it's not easy, and it's not for the faint-hearted. Yeah. So off of this, set your protein and fat targets at the same level each day. You're going to adjust carbs up and down. So your off day is going to be the lowest day for carbs. This is a basic carb cycling here now. Carbs would be set at 123 to 125 for the entire day, split up over 4 to 5 meals. Your strength training, not a back or leg day dominant, or not your deadlift or your main squat days. 300 grams of carbs is a good place to start based off of those numbers that we just saw in here. And your most strenuous day, you do at least start with one a week. One of these high days, 740 grams. If you're playing a sport, this is your day of your hardest practice. So say it's football, it's, Wednesday you guys bang and you go hard and you go in the weight room after and you're going to condition. That would be your heaviest carb day, would be 740 grams because it's going to refill glycogen stores the most efficiently. And that's super, super important, is to make sure those glycogen stores are high because that's what your energy is being derived off of. And you're going to balance across 4 to 5 meals. So divide your protein evenly over those meals. I like 5 meals because it allows me something right before bed. And I get up early. So I train, anywhere between 4:30 and 5 a.m. until 6. And then I go to work, and then I pick my kids up, and I'm usually in bed by 10. So 5 meals for me is a pretty good divide across the day, where meals aren't too big, they aren't too small, they're manageable, and I look forward to each meal every time. So like I said, divide protein evenly. Carbohydrates, you're going to eat half your total carbs before and after training, and then divide the rest evenly over your remaining meals. Do not include added fats in your post-workout meal, because that's the goal of this time, is to maximize carbohydrate storage and to maximize glycogen storage. Okay, so here what your 5 meal medium carb day would look like. Meal one, 40 grams of protein, 150 grams of carbs. That could be directly after your training, the way we have this set up. Next, 40 grams of protein, 50 grams of carbs. This would be like 3 to 4 hours later, 20 grams of fat. 40 grams of protein, 50 grams of carbs, 20 grams of fat for meal three. Again, another 3 to 4 hours later. And these last two meals, again, space them out 3 to 4 hours apart from each other, but they're lower in carbohydrates because the carbohydrate demand was earlier in the day. I base this basically off of what I would do myself because I train early. I want my highest carbs to be right after I train. At the end of the day, I don't need the carbs, so I haven't really done anything that's that strenuous. So it's a lower carb meal, and it's the fats are still high, so satiety is maintained overnight. So I'm not getting up and raiding the pantry. If you decide to do a high day, there's only one modification for this: is you don't add extra fats. I would give it 2 to 3 weeks before your first real high day. Other than that, you would kind of sit in that. Where am I at here? You're going to sit in that medium to low day setup. So basically, your training day and non-training day set up before you add in that first high carb day, because you want to understand how your body's responding to those base level calories before you add in these refeed meals. But anyway, how would this look? 40 grams of protein per meal. You can see how we evenly divvy these up over across 5 meals, and 150 grams of carbs, 150 grams of carbs, and so on and so on. Last meal would be 125. It's a lot of food. It's a lot of good food. It's going to refill your glycogen stores like you need. When limiting the fat intake for the day, try protein sources like a chicken breast, tuna, whitefish, protein powder, Greek yogurt. Don't add any extra fat. You can do something like a 96.4 ground beef, even 93.7 ground beef. Just strain the extra fat off of it if you're going to use the 93. And the extra fat in here is not going to matter so much because your body is going to, you as an individual will gravitate towards the foods that you like more. For me, I love 93.7 turkey. I love it. So that's what makes up most of my meals, that and a little bit of protein powder and chicken breast. Those are the three that I'll rotate off of. Egg whites is another good source here these days. We just want to keep our added fats pretty low for this day. Because again, the next day you're right back to that normal diet. After this, you will look freaking crazy. Like you'll be filled out again, like your muscles will pop, and then you kind of go through another week before you hit that high carb day again, and then things go back to normal until you hit this again, you pop again. It's super cool. So trying to wrap this up. Thanks for joining. First of all, cover the basics of what protein, fats, carbs, vitamins, and minerals are. Introduce you to a base diet. Gave you a more advanced dieting method, which is carb cycling. Ultimately, eat to match your activity level. You want to modify as needed, but give yourself 1 to 2 weeks before you make a change. I think that your first base diet, you should run that for 3 weeks and just see how things go. Throw the scale away until week 3. But don't worry about where you're at. Just go off of how you feel. And from there, you're going to modify as needed. If it needs to be modified weekly to make sure that you hit the trend that you need to hit, do it. But if you're on a weight gain diet, give it 2 weeks. If your hunger is driven super, super high, you know that's a good thing because you want to be hungry. If you're in a fat loss diet and you're hungry, that's good because guess what? Your macros are being used appropriately. Your body wants the fuel. It's using the fuel. And if you're in a fat loss phase, you're supposed to be hungry. It means it's a good sign that things are going well. And lastly, if you're interested in just taking this whole thing off your plate, drop me a DM on Instagram, and I would be happy to assist you with your endeavors. Again, thanks for watching, and on to the next one.